Hey guys, welcome back to episode 3. This episode's going to be on greed. My first one was on criticism, and the second one was on expectations, and hopefully we're going to tie all of it together and come to some big conclusion. Hopefully it'll help you guys out a little bit. But yeah, some of the things that I want to mention about greed was how it is everywhere. Obviously, we're totally aware of it, but it's actually the dark part of your personality. Your brain, frontal lobe, that affects you, and kind of silly stuff like that. But if you haven't seen greed really firsthand, then I don't think you really know what I'm talking about. I mean, I feel like everybody has, just because it is really everywhere. I mean, I experience greed, you experience greed, and the worst part about a lot of people that experience greed are either poor people that don't have anything, that feel like they need all these things, or people that have too much and they keep wanting to satisfy themselves with some unsatisfying satisfaction that think is going to happen. A really good scenario that I found that kind of ties everything into play is when you're a kid. And I know I talk about being kids all the time, but this is such a big part of us that, you know, we need to remember that. But anyways, so one of the really good scenarios that I found out was, say that, you know, your parents are super rich and they can't help you out. Scenario. You know, they can't be there for you, they can't coddle you, they can't, why that whole saying is, oh, did your mother not love you enough? And that comes, I think, with greed, is because what happens is, I can't give you me, but I can give you everything else you need. I can give you candy, I can give you teddy bears, I can't give you me. So I fill your unsatisfying need with objects, and you grow up thinking, I'll never get what I really want, but I know this can take care of it until I figure it out. But eventually you never figure it out. You always keep wanting that want inside of you, that maybe if I buy this, that I'll be happy. But it's never filled. It's never, you know, you can't buy somebody candy and expect them to love you forever. It doesn't happen like that. Or you can't buy them things and expect them to be okay with you. You have to really get people who you are and really tell them what you're trying to say with your words and your body, and not just objects, because they're not trash, but definitely they can be thrown away, and people can. You can't forget about somebody. And that's where this whole video and all my other videos are about, is people really coming back together and realizing, you know, that we need each other. And as much as the internet's around, and as much as we feel like we're connected, more than ever, I think that we're disconnected from each other. We're not really looking up at each other anymore and really trying to help anybody out. I mean, have you been on the train lately and just stuck your head up out from under your phone and just seen everybody? They're just droids. They're just going from point A to B so they can be greedy later down the road, because I want to go to the bar, or I want to go spend my money the way I want to. But yet, with the whole greed thing on the other side of the perspective, you know, not being taken care of from, you know, parent to child, but not being taken care of as employee, business partner, boss to employer. What's happening is the business side is so high and so overwhelmed and has such high expectations for itself that it's worried about the now and not the later. And that's really affecting all of us. And that's with greed. I mean, Donald Trump, our president, has said, the greedier you are, the better. Who says that? And I mean, he's a businessman. He's gonna say stuff like that because he wants you to buy things. Anybody that you ask or go to a store or anything like that, just look around. If you buy this, you get this one free, but you didn't need 3 of them in the first place. You just needed 1. That's you being greedy because you think you're saving yourself something, and you're not. It's manipulation, and it's really sad that that is happening, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about greed. So another really good topic on greed was the fact that it really didn't kick off until the 1950s. I don't know if you guys kind of know what the era was like back then, but it was pretty much like, oh, live the American dream, go shopping, you know, buy a new refrigerator. And back then it made sense. We were able to have mom or dad stay home and take care of the kids and, you know, go to your job 9 to 5. But now there's no such thing really as a 9 to 5 job where one parent is working and supporting the family. Usually it's both parents working, or usually it's one parent struggling to take care of the kids, or, you know, sometimes the kids are taking care of the parents because the parents can't work. And that is it's the saddest part of our world that we live in, is because we're trying to just really help each other out, and we're getting sucked into this greed that we feel we need. If I see something on TV, or if I see somebody outside that has something, I'm not gonna want it. I'm not gonna be like, oh, I need to have that now, because that's being greedy. Or if somebody gives you a piece of cake, you know, what do they usually say? If you want more, don't be greedy. And on top of that, isn't it one of like the 7 sins? I'm pretty sure it's the first one. Greed. I mean, I don't know how much further I can go into this without you guys understanding, but it's simply just horrible. It's ruining you. It's ruining what you think of yourself. It's ruining what others think of you, because you feel that you have to have this expectation of yourself, and you're being criticized for it. And all it is you're being too greedy, and other people are expecting that of you, because in my other videos, like I talked about, if you don't wear these kind of clothes, if you don't have this kind of style, if you're not looked at a certain way in the way you feel comfortable, you get judged. And that's greed in this plainest form possible. Completely. I mean, even if you look at hoarders, what are they doing? They're filling a need that can't be replaced. That's being greedy. Even if you do something really simple, or you want to help somebody, but you're worried about yourself, you're being greedy. You're not even thinking about that other person, because you're too caught up in your own self. That's not helping. That's not even helping you. That's not helping anybody. So it's just, you know, kind of this vicious circle. And I know I mentioned a lot of bad things, but there is no positive things to these things that we are doing. Criticizing people. For what? Expecting things from people. Why? Being greedy for ourselves? Who is that helping? And you know, at the end of the day, you only have your own guilt for buying that one thing that you thought you really needed. And then you wonder why you don't have any money. And it's not because you want to carelessly spend. It could be, but it also probably has to do with, you know, where you work at, or how high your education is, or how lucky you got because of how you look or what you do in life. You know? Greed. Business people have a face to put on. And if you don't fit that face, if you don't fit that style, doesn't matter how good you are at your job. It doesn't matter how many credentials you have. They don't want you. It doesn't matter, because they're greedy. And, you know, like I said, it's not okay that we do this to each other. I mean, looking back on it and being a child, I grew up really poor. And I learned at a young age that money and greed are the same thing. They control people, and you don't even know it. I know some people that have 2 or 3 jobs for no reason, because they like money. Money gets you stuff. Money doesn't get you friends. It gets you acquaintances. But what happens when you don't have that money anymore? Are those people still gonna be your friend? You know? Or what happens when you lose your job and you can't hold up that face anymore? Are your friends gonna be there? This persona that you put on? Or at the end of the day, when you lose everything, you really realize who you are, and you're bare bones and skin, just like me. No matter how hard you work at it, how much makeup you cake on your face, or how many plastic surgeries you go through, or how many different styles of clothes you have. You're the same. And being greedy, being anything like that, is just hurting you. And the sad part is nobody's learning from it. It's like, how long are we gonna do this cycle of life? You know, Columbus discovering America, greed. Slaves, greed. You know, like, when is it gonna stop? When is it really gonna stop? When are we all just gonna say, hey, you know what? This is not the life that we're supposed to live. This is not the life I want my family to live. This is not the life that I want my children, my grandchildren. Because I guarantee you guys, if this path keeps going on the way it does, and how we are acting towards each other and ourselves especially, if we're supposed to be our own influence, if we're supposed to learn from each other and listen to our elders, I'm your guys' age. I'm living this life like you are. Who's listening to who? Nobody. Nobody wants to just open up and say, you know what, this is wrong and this isn't okay and we need to stop it. I'm not trying to start a revolution. I'm not trying to change your guys' mind. I'm not really trying to do anything but have you guys see who you are at the end of the day, who you're really looking at in the mirror, and what you're doing to other people that you care about. Even if you don't see it, they do, and it affects everyone. So I hope you guys learned something from this today, because greed is really bad. Even if it's food, money, objects, sex, it never helps. If you dig deep enough, greed was a lot of roots of a lot of problems. And unfortunately, some of those trees, they shouldn't be so tall and shading over the rest of the trees that need to grow. I don't know about you guys, but it's 2017 and it's not 1950s. It's not 1800s. It's here, it's now. We need to figure out what we're doing, you know? Because if you keep doing the same thing, guess what? Nothing's gonna change, ever. So just look at yourself next time you really say something like those things that I've said. Greed, criticism. They're not good for you or anyone else. And don't expect to know everything, because you don't, and that's okay. Or know a little bit about who you are. And greed shouldn't be one of them. So, yeah. Thanks for listening, you guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and till next time.